thousands of people have mysteriously vanished in America's wilderness. Join us as we dive into the deep end of the unexplainable and try to piece together what happened. You are listening to Locations Unknown.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Locations Unknown. I'm your co-host, Joey. Riding with me, as always, is a guy who can take an actual big bite of an Archburger, Mike Vandenbogart.
Wow. So I saw that video of the CEO of McDonald's just like...
It's so embarrassing.
It's like, oh, yuck, this is gross. I don't want to eat it. Like, oh, wait, I'm running this company.
Like, how bad do you have to be at, like, a marketing campaign?
Yeah.
That you can't take one bite out of, like, even if you thought it was the most horrendous thing in the whole world.
Yeah.
You're like, I make millions of dollars a year.
Like, I'll just go to the best doctors after I eat this burger.
Yeah.
Like, if it's that bad.
Everything he did seemed like he was going to regret this for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Like, his body was like, I don't even know how to attack this. Yeah. I was like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Yeah. He should actually be fired as a result of that.
I don't know. Yeah. That's.
Or whoever greenlighted it. Like, I wonder if he watched it and was like, yep, this one's the best. Just don't make me bite into this thing again.
Maybe he did like 10 takes and ate like 50 of them. And
you know what? If they're going to do anything to save face, that's what they should come out and be like, it was the 100th take.
Yeah, he literally ate like 100 of them.
Yeah.
And he was just full.
Like, lie to us at this point.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Anyway,
yeah.
Besides that.
Thank you to all of our loyal listeners for tuning in. Just a few updates before we get going. A lot of Patreon supporters get to this time around, so thank you to Aurelia Davenport, Emily Stevenson, Carly Leans, Joshua Schreiber, Lisa Holcomb, Brittany Mandy Miller, Jeremy Evans, Christy Valesco, Dakota Hayes, Rachel Cohen, and Susan Zappi. So
I like how Stevenson is the one that threw you for a loop.
I know. Well, it's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
So thank you to all of you for supporting the show.
Yeah, thank you so much.
We can't thank you enough. It's why we have some of the better equipment we have. And so thank you. If you want to call the show, call 208-391-6913. We just did a voicemail episode.
There are some good ones.
There are some good ones. So
very much enjoyed them.
Sign up for Patreon, listen to them, and then try to top them and make our next episode. If you'd like to listen to some of the other shows on our network, we've got Off the Trails, Who Runs This Park, Crime Off the Grid, Relish. Hoping to get a few more on there that we've been kind of talking with, so stay tuned for that. If you want to support the show, you can obviously go to Patreon, YouTube memberships, premium subscriptions on Apple and Spreaker. We have a store where there's stuff you can buy. That always helps. If money's tight, just leave us a like, subscribe wherever you listen, if that's on YouTube or whatever podcast.
And just tell all your friends.
And tell all your friends till they get annoyed with you and drop you as a friend.
Yep.
So any updates from you?
No.
All right.
All right, everybody, let's gear up and get out to explore Locations Unknown. September 6th, 2009. A 61-year-old fitness instructor, black belt, and seasoned bow hunter leaves his campsite near Elk Mountain in New Mexico's Santa Fe National Forest. He tells his two companions he won't go far and will return by nightfall. When he doesn't return, the search begins. Helicopters, volunteers, and K-9 units scour the rugged terrain and find nothing. No body, no gear, no trace. Join us this week as we investigate the strange disappearance of Melvin Nadel. I have this weird ADD thing where when the description of the episode like finishes perfectly, when the violin comes in, it makes me very happy.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah, it's very well produced.
Yes.
And it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes I'm real early. Sometimes I'm after
produced.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So we are going.
Got to give our producer a raise.
I know. Yes, absolutely. From nothing per hour to
nothing per hour.
Yeah, we can multiply his salary by 1,000.
Yeah.
1,000% raise. We are going to Santa Fe National Forest in the Elk Mountain area. This area sees about 1 million visitors per year. It was established in 1915 in the state of New Mexico and spans 1.6 million acres. So we'll do a little bit of the climate in the area. The Elk Mountains, where Melvin Nadel disappeared, sits at the intersection of beauty and brutality. The campsite was located within the Santa Fe National Forest in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains of North New Mexico.
Pop quiz.
Uh-oh.
What recent case also was in that mountain range that we covered?
I'll take the F.
Skalinsky.
Skalinsky.
In
okay.
Great Sand Dunes.
Okay. So
I
this
only
is
did
in the
that.
mountain area?
What?
This is only in the mountainous area right near there?
No, so that mountain chain goes into Colorado a bit, and when I was researching this case, I remembered that mountain range. I'm like, did we already cover this case? And then I was going through, and it was Skalinsky.
Okay, so we kind of almost covered it.
Yeah,
just not this exact one.
Yes.
So at an elevation likely between 8,000 and 10,000 feet, with Elk Mountain summit reaching at 11,661 feet above sea level. The elevation is the single most important factor in understanding the climate Melvin walked into on September 6, 2009. At those heights, the weather does not behave the way it does in the town of Pecos below, or in Santa Fe, 45 minutes to the west. The mountains make their own rules. Early September in this part of New Mexico is a transitional season, like a shoulder season, or what else would we call it? Straddle seasons.
You'll never let that one die, will ya?
There's a couple people I've saw in person that said they laughed so hard at straddle seasons, and they're going to start calling them straddle seasons from now on.
Maybe it's a movement.
It's definitely a movement.
If anyone ever goes hiking and you're talking about something like that, make sure to use straddle.
It's a huge movement among a very small group of people.
Yes.
The tail end of the summer warmth giving way to the first whispers of fall. Down in the town of Pecos at roughly 7,000 feet, average daytime highs in early September hover around 77 to 78 degrees, so pretty nice. The overnight lows, however, dip to the 50s.
Oh, just so our pronunciation people are happy, it's Pecos.
Pecos? Like pesos?
Like Paykohs. Pecos.
Okay. So, well, Melvin wasn't in the town of Pecos, so he was thousands of feet higher where temperatures dropped roughly 3 to 5 degrees for every 1,000 feet of elevation gained.
That's called being good at what you do right there.
Yep. That's
the transition was amazing.
That's straddle diction. At 9,000 to 10,000 feet, a comfortable afternoon in the low 60s can turn into a night in the mid 30s or even lower. Cold enough to induce hypothermia in someone who isn't prepared, especially someone who is injured or immobile. Looking at actual recorded weather data for the Santa Fe area in September 2009, the first week of the month saw daytime highs in the low to mid 80s. At Santa Fe's elevation at about 7,000 feet, with overnight lows in the upper 40s to low 50s. So it got pretty cold at night.
Yeah.
On September 6th specifically, the day Melvin vanished, Santa Fe recorded a high of approximately 80 degrees and a low near 50. Up at Elk Mountain, those numbers would have been significantly cooler, likely in the mid-60s during the day and potentially dipping into the upper 30s or low 40s after dark. By the time his friends, Joe and Kevin, were firing signal shots in the night sky, the mountain air would have been cold, especially for a man hunting in camouflage without his backpack or overnight gear. September is also the tail end of the North American monsoon season in New Mexico. From roughly late June through mid-September, moisture surges up from the Gulf of Mexico and the Gulf of California, producing afternoon and evening thunderstorms that can be intense, highly localized, and dangerously unpredictable. These storms build quickly. A clear blue sky at noon can turn into a violent thunderstorm by 3 o'clock, dropping heavy rain, hail, and lightning on a narrow band of terrain, while the valley a mile away will stay bone dry. The average precipitation for Pecos area in September is just over 2 inches, but that moisture tends to arrive in sudden, concentrated bursts rather than a gentle, steady rain. Flash flooding in narrow canyons and arroyos is real and recurring hazard. The terrain amplifies every weather risk. The Sangre de Cristos are steep, rocky, and heavily forested with pine, fir, spruce, and aspen. At higher elevations, the forest canopy thickens and visibility drops. The ground is uneven, riddled with loose rock, down timber, gopher holes, and root tangles. A man with a wrapped, injured knee navigating this terrain in fading afternoon light was already operating with a narrow margin of safety. The mountains are also notorious for sudden fog and cloud cover that can roll in and erase landmarks in minutes, leaving even experienced outdoorsmen disorientated. That one was for you.
Thank you.
What makes the September timing particularly treacherous is how quickly the seasons can turn. The warm season in Pecos officially ends around September 15th, and the first hard freezes at higher elevation can arrive by mid to late September. In the Sangre de Cristos of southern Colorado, the same mountain range just slightly farther north, wildlife management guides warn that the first snow or freeze can occur in early September at higher elevations. By the time the family was organizing their October volunteer search, 6 weeks after he vanished, they were acutely aware that winter was approaching and the snow would soon blanket the mountains, potentially burying any remaining evidence. So we'll talk about a little bit about the terrain. We covered it a little bit, but to understand how a man can vanish without walking distance within his own camp, you first have to understand the land itself, look how it looks around Elk Mountain. Rises 11,600 feet in the San Miguel County within the Santa Fe National Forest. Parts of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, the southernmost extension of the Rocky Mountains of the United States. The Pecos Wilderness encompasses over 223,000 acres of protected land, and we talked about the elevation going up to 13,000 feet. So the terrain shifts dramatically with altitude. Ponderosa pine and Douglas firs give ways to the dense subalpine spruce and aspen as you climb, and above timberline, the world opens to exposed alpine meadows and bare rock ridges. Melvin's campsite was not high on the ridgeline. It sat in a large open clearing off Forest Road 646, which is a dirt road branching from State Highway 63 past the small town of Torero. During fall hunting season, ATVs and trucks are common along the road. Other campers and hunters are around. This is not the trackless backcountry that some accounts make it sound like. So there's activity in the area.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a hunting season.
Yeah. From what I've gathered, this is a pretty, used area in summer and hunting season. So it's not desolate like some of the places we've covered.
You'll see activity.
Yeah.
However, though, the terrain immediately off the roads is something else entirely. Step 10 feet into the trees and the forest closes around you. The ground is treacherous, loose rock, exposed roots, down timber, and animal burrows that catch a boot and twist a knee. The Sangre de Cristos is carved with deep, narrow drainages, steep-sided ravines cut by snowmelt and monsoon runoff, sometimes 50 to 100 feet deep with near vertical walls. A person who stumbles into one, especially with a bad knee in fading light, may not climb out. A body at the bottom covered by seasonal debris could go undetected for years. Those drainages feed into creeks, which feed into the Pecos River, a dynamic waterway that could carry remains miles downstream. The forest density compounds the problem. At the elevation surrounding Melvin's campsite, the canopy is thick enough to severely limit aerial visibility. So, someone wearing full camouflage, lying still on a forest-blanketed floor in brown needles and dappled shadow is nearly impossible to spot from a helicopter. The camouflage is meant to hide him from elk, may also have hidden him from rescuers. The wildlife fills the rest, so Elk Mountain's forest is home to elk, mule deer, black bear, mountain lion, bobcat, coyote, and golden eagles. Mountain lions are ambush predators that strike from behind without warning. So a 135-pound man crouched in hunting blind, focused on a tree line ahead, would be vulnerable. Though a predator attack still does not explain the total absence of physical evidence. I'm not going to get into the part that makes it confounding because I'm going to give away too much stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just tell us about how maybe to hike safely.
Yes. So one of the things you want to do, obviously, that we say every time, leave a detailed trip plan or itinerary. So your exact routes, campsite locations, expected return times, vehicle descriptions, license plate, things that people might need to find to see if you're in an area. You also want to know the terrain, know the mileage, elevation gain, where water is. If you're an experienced climber, you should have an idea of what type of elevation gain you can handle over what distance and time. You want to check the weather forecast. Prepare for altitude, because altitude sickness is real, and prepare to come down if you're starting to feel the effects of it. You do want to make camp before dark. Most backcountry accidents happen after nightfall. Learn the terrain around your camp in daylight so that you can navigate it safely if you need to move after dark. You want to set specific check-in times with your group. If someone doesn't show up at the agreed upon time, start looking immediately. Do not wait. And stay on established trails whenever possible. The terrain off trail is riddled with loose rock, hidden ravines, and thick brush that can disorient you within minutes. We talked a little bit about the wildlife, just some things that you should be carrying if possible. GPS, a physical map and compass for the GPS fails and you want to know how to use it. Fully charged phone, emergency signaling device such as a whistle, mirror, or PLB, overpacked food and water, headlamp, fire starting materials, extra layers of clothes, first aid kits, and bear spray. If you do get lost, stop moving. The moment you realize you're disoriented, stop. Continuing to walk when lost is how people end up miles from where searchers are looking. Unless you're in a hazardous spot. You want to get to a safe spot. Use the terrain as a guide. In the Pecos area, streams and drainages flow downhill to the Pecos River, where it leads to civilization. If all else fails, follow water downstream. Signal for help using any three of anything. So 3 whistle blasts, 3 shots fired, 3 gunshots. 3 is basically the universal distress signal. You can build 3 fires, and you can use a mirror to flash aircraft. Stay visible. So if you were wearing camouflage, you might want to take that off or flip it inside out, or try and get brighter clothing on if you can. Other than that, Mike, how about you tell us a little bit about Melvin?
Yeah, so the subject of tonight's case is Melvin Nadel. Date of birth was March 13th, 1948. He went missing September 6th of 2009. He was a male, age 61. He was 5'2", about 135 pounds, though some sources list him at 110 pounds. He had black hair, brown eyes. Other features about him, he had 2 full arm sleeve tattoos. One of them had a dragon, a pentagram, a taekwondo symbol, a mouth with vampire fangs, and a guitar. So very interesting set of tattoos on his arms. Clothing and gear he was last seen in. So he had a camo print jacket, shirt and pants, polypropylene underclothes, thermal socks, hiking boots, black watch. He did have an injured knee, so he had a knee wrap and a brace. He had a .44 special revolver on him. He had camo print. He had a camo print Martin compound bow with black and white zebra striped arrows, and he had a hunting knife. Personality-wise, this guy did sound pretty interesting. So he was described as disciplined, focused, resilient, which was, he was a black belt and he was a fitness trainer. He was described as a jack of all trades. He was comfortable with computers, jewelry making, fitness instruction, and the outdoors. He had a quick wit. He was, he had a quiet intensity about him. He was very loyal. And he was a dedicated, hands-on father. He homeschooled his daughter, Kristen, for most of her life and was described as her best friend. He obviously, with the guitar tattoo, loved rock and roll music, but he also was not one to wander and take unnecessary risks. So he preferred to sit still in a hunting blind rather than pursue game on foot. And he was described as cautious by nature after a previous experience of getting lost while hunting. So this would not be the first time he actually got lost. Medical injuries or issues other than, so he did injure his knee right before his disappearance, and it was wrapped in a brace. And one source says he twisted it stepping in a gopher hole while target practicing. And another actually said he hurt it while he was teaching a Pilates class. So we'll never know how he hurt it, but he had a bad knee. Other than that, though, his wife said he did not suffer from any other known health issues. So generally speaking, a very healthy 61-year-old male. Occupation, hobby, he owned and operated a Pilates Fitness Plus, a popular gym in the Santa Fe, New Mexico area. He previously also owned a jewelry store. He was a first-degree black belt in Taekwondo. He was also an avid bow hunter, and he preferred a passive blind-based hunting style where he basically just sat and waited for the game to come to him. And he was also skilled with computers. And he was frequently the person that people called when they had a problem with their computer. And he was obviously a very popular fitness instructor in his hometown. And he was described as tough but supportive. So he really is a jack of all trades.
Yeah, he kind of does everything.
He owned a jewelry store. He's a fitness instructor. He's a black belt in Taekwondo. Also an expert with computers. So sounds like a pretty interesting guy. Experience in the wilderness. So very experienced outdoorsman, and he's a seasoned bow hunter, and he has done multiple hunting trips over the years. He also had been lost once before. He had to fire his gun into the air to be found. And that experience made him adapt to habits, always carrying a GPS unit and always staying close to camp. He also was comfortable in the backcountry, but not reckless. His hunting style was deliberate and low risk. And he was, like I said, very physically fit for his age. He was trained in martial arts, but he was not what you'd consider a long-distance backcountry hiker. So experience at this location, he had visited Elk Mountain before. The campsite was described as a place Melvin had visited before on prior hunting trips. He was familiar enough with the area to know the trail from camp and to point out exactly where he intended to set up his blind. It was only a group of trees about 100 to 150 yards down trail. So really not that far from camp. I mean, 100 yards is a football field.
Yeah.
So that's pretty darn close. Despite, familiarity, his previous experience getting lost demonstrates that, even when you know the terrain, it can provide challenges. So we'll jump right into timeline. And for those of you watching, I don't know if Joe's sharing it yet, but we're looking at kind of the Elk Mountain area. It looks pretty rugged.
Yeah, it's pretty rugged. I can see all the dirt roads. They're not labeled even when I zoom in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're hiking trails more so than like ATV.
Yeah.
But it's pretty remote. They said it was by Torero.
There's Torero.
Yeah, so it's like this
Where's
is very
Pecos? Where's Santa Fe?
Pecos is right here.
Okay. Just to get my bearings.
Yeah, they said this is a large area, but like his campsite's like this.
How close? Now I'm curious, before I get in time, how close is this to Great Sand Dunes? Might have to.
So let's type it in and find out.
Because there's Vegas. Okay, so not that close.
Yeah,
there's Santa Fe National Forest. I mean, I can see how the mountain change.
Like 100 miles south.
Okay. Interesting.
Maybe more. I'm like looking down at the bar at the bottom of the screen and then looking at the screen. So This is not scientific at all.
Not even as the crow flies.
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's just interesting. Since this mountain range was featured in one of our other cases recently. And not to plug our Patreon page again, but one of the voicemails was a lady who believes she was the last person to see Brian Skalinsky alive.
Yeah.
Which was pretty crazy.
And I was very convinced. Based on what she said, the timeline. Yes.
I'm very convinced.
Unless she's a sociopath and a liar.
And why would you?
Exactly.
Yeah, because it happened so long ago. I mean, what do you have to gain from that? But I really do think, based on her description, that she did see him. So
yeah, it's roughly 150 miles south of that last story.
Gotcha. All right, so we will jump right into the timeline. So we're going to start a few days before Sunday, September 6th of 2009. So in the days leading up to the Labor Day weekend hunting trip, Melvin at some point injured his knee. Like I said, one account says he might have twisted it stepping in a gopher hole while target practicing. Another says it was an injury during a Pilates class. So, whatever the cause of the injury, the knee was hurt badly enough that he had to wrap it, but not bad enough that he couldn't go hunting in his mind. So some people close to him actually thought he maybe shouldn't have gone on that year's trip, but Melvin insisted it wasn't that bad. And honestly, I get why he did it. He sits in a blind. It's only 100 yards from camp. That doesn't sound like something you couldn't do with a bum knee. So
yeah,
it is now Sunday, September 6th, 2009, it was Labor Day weekend. Melvin drove his burgundy 2001 Jeep Cherokee to the area, to Elk Mountain area of Santa Fe National Forest near Pecos, New Mexico. He was meeting two hunting companions, Joe Moons, a longtime friend, and Joe's brother-in-law, identified in some sources as Kevin and in other sources as Eric. So Kevin or Eric. The three men set up camp near a clearing deep in the forest off a dirt road not far from the Pecos River, which is a place that Melvin had visited many times before. And I should note that there was some news reports that described his vehicle a little different than this. So just take that with a grain of salt. And, so the plan was straightforward. Joe and Kevin would hike further out, heading towards the peak with the goal of pushing animals back towards Melvin's position. Melvin, who was, cautious and limited by his injured knee, would stay close to camp. At approximately 4:30 in the afternoon, Melvin left the campsite. He told his friends he would not travel far and that he would be back before nightfall. He pointed to a group of trees, like I said, that was only 100 to 150 yards down trail, and that's where he planned to set up his blind. So at the time, he was carrying with him, he had his compound bow with the black and white zebra striped arrows. He had his .44 special revolver, and he had his hunting knife. And Joe, I'm curious, can you pull up what a .44 special revolver looks like?
Yes, I can.
It's come up in the case a few times now, and I'm just interested to see. In my mind, I have like a picture of like a cowboy with the one where you like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I always looked at those as like the old cop guns.
Oh yeah.
Like from the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
That's like what the sheriffs had.
Yeah, in like a small town.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So something similar to one of these is what he was carrying on him.
Okay.
And it looks like it packs a pretty good punch based on the bullets.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. Like, I know a lot of guys that bow hunt will carry them just for safety.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I just wanted to see what it looked like.
Yep.
So he was dressed like Joe had mentioned and I had mentioned in full camouflage. He had the camouflage print jacket, shirt, and pants. And obviously this kind of gear is not great for search and rescue teams to find somebody, but it's great for when you're hunting. Though the funny thing is when you hunt here in Wisconsin, like deer hunting season, you have to wear blaze orange. So if you go missing in Wisconsin, you might be found easier because you're going to have just blaze orange all over you. So
blazing orange.
Blazing orange. Yes.
It literally is.
That's the name of the color. So inside his Jeep, parked near the campsite, Melvin left behind his backpack, his cell phone, and his GPS. And obviously he normally does carry his GPS with him while hunting to keep from getting lost, specifically because he got lost in the past, but for whatever reason, he decided not to carry it with him this time. So the fact that he left it behind strongly suggests he believed the hunt would be brief and very close to camp. One source also reports that a half-eaten Subway sandwich was found inside the vehicle and that Melvin's hunting blind had been deconstructed and placed back in the Jeep. So this detail does raise questions that if Melvin had set up a blind and then took it down, did he return to camp at some point before heading out again? And this is the one note I had on the conflict about his truck. So some sources state it is a 2001 Jeep Cherokee with gear locked inside. But then the Q Center for Missing Persons described the vehicle as an unlocked burgundy Jeep Wrangler. So he was in a Jeep. It might have been locked. It might have been unlocked. But the core fact is that, the critical survival and navigation gear was left in the vehicle at the base camp. And that is really consistent across all the sources I found. Mm-hmm. It's now same day, Sunday, September 9th, 2009. It's now evening. So as the sun began to go down over Elk Mountain, Joe and Kevin returned to base camp after their hunt. Melvin's Jeep was still parked at camp, but Melvin was not there. They called out for him, no reply. As it got darker and darker, there was still no sign of him. His friends resorted to a time-honored wilderness signal. They fired 2 shots into the air, hoping Melvin would hear them and either respond or navigate back to the sound. Strangely, 2 shots were returned from somewhere in the distance off in the dark forest, but they never were able to figure out who fired those shots. So Joe and Kevin immediately jumped into action. They got into their vehicles, turned on their headlights, their high beams. They laid on their horns. They drove towards the direction of the return shots, but they found nothing. No Melvin, no voice calling back, just silence. So at some point that evening, another hunter in the area encountered Joe and Kevin, and this hunter had a satellite phone, and they used it to contact search and rescue. So pretty fortunate for those 2 guys that they found someone with a satellite phone, because searchers were alerted pretty much right away, because he was supposed to be back by nightfall, and he wasn't. So it's now Monday, September 7th, kind of going into that week. So a search and rescue operation was launched. It was led by the New Mexico State Police. Over the course of the week, the operation grew to include upwards of 30 people on the ground. They had search dogs and even a Black Hawk helicopter scanning the terrain from above. K-9 units were brought into Melvin's campsite and put on his scent. The dogs actually immediately picked up his trail and followed it from camp, heading down the exact trail he had told his friends he would take. But the dogs tracked the scent approximately 50 yards from the campsite, directly to the area where everyone expected him to be, at where he was going to set up his blind. But then the scent just simply stopped. So that was a little bizarre. The dogs had a strong scent, and then it just stopped. So there was no continuation, no scent trail leading further into the forest, no indication he had wandered off in any direction, no blood, no signs of a struggle, no dropped arrows, no shell casings, nothing. So his wife, Edna Nadel, later said, they never found the bow. No. Did they ever find anything? No, never found anything. That is the bizarre stuff. How can you carry it if you get lost? Isn't it going to get heavy and hold onto all of it? There's nothing, no shoes. One of the arrows would have fallen, or the bow has to drop because those are heavy, but there was nothing. So when asked if search and rescue personnel found the circumstances odd, his wife responded, "Everybody said it was odd." So she's got a point.
Yeah.
You've got the strange fact that the scent went in the direction where he was going and then just stopped completely.
Which we've heard about that in other cases, and one of the things that means we don't have to get into yet.
Yeah.
Maybe. But
yeah, it could mean something, but you would think that the scent would continue and then, it wouldn't just stop in one position. You would assume you'd find stuff there, but like she said, the bow is heavy. Like, they didn't find his bow.
And a bum knee.
And a bum knee.
Not going far fast.
He's not going very far. So very, very interesting. So searchers combed the rugged terrain around Elk Mountain with, extraordinary precision. More than 50 volunteers participated across multiple search efforts, working grid searches and line movements through the mountainous terrain. This is an area with cliffs, rocks, dense forest, but also logging trails, hiking paths, and old roads. The Pecos River also ran through the area and was also searched. So unlike some of Denali, the case we did in Denali, where you're just out there, this has a lot of stuff. There's logging roads and trails and old roads and rivers.
Which if you're lost, you can find one of those and
this guy
stay on it.
Sounded smart and capable, and he's been out there a lot. He's even been lost before. Like Joe mentioned in one of your tips to if you're lost, follow the rivers downstream. Just walk the river till they all go down. So this is all stuff he would probably have known, which makes it all the more bizarre. It's now Friday, September 11th of 2009. So by nearly a week after the disappearance, Melvin's wife Edna and daughter Kristen had spent days waiting and wondering. In a news segment that aired on KRQE around this time, Edna said, I am hoping, no sign, no leads as of yet. We've pretty much thought of every possibility. And then Kristen told the cameras, I can't even tell you how many scenarios I've made up in my mind, just like, what if this happened? What if this happened? But, there's really no way of knowing at this point. And then Edna, who at this point was kind of barely holding it together, said, kind of like thinking that my husband is lying there somewhere. It's unbearable. He is a very good person. He doesn't deserve this. So pretty sad stuff. The state police continued to classify the operation as a search and rescue effort, and volunteers were asked to call the New Mexico State Police District 1 office, which the number at the time was 505-827-9300. It's now Saturday, September 12th of 2009. There was a major volunteer search that was organized. So volunteers were told to meet at 7 a.m. at the end of State Highway 63 in Pecos, a wilderness area. The search that day focused on a very mountainous area with lots of cliffs and rocks. But sadly, around September 12th to September 13th of 2009, the search was eventually called off. So, this was 1 week of intensive searching already. The New Mexico state police called off the search operation. Dozens of rescuers had scoured the Elk Mountain area and surrounding wilderness and didn't find a single clue. So you can't search forever. Mm-hmm. It's now Monday, September 14th of 2009. So 2 days after the official search was called off, a local news station, KOB-TV, reported that Melvin's family was continuing their own search. They followed the Pecos River south near Val Kilmer's property in the Pecos area, hoping to find some sign of Melvin. Moving forward, now we're into October. It's October 24th, 2009. So this would be 6 weeks after Melvin vanished. Another local news station aired a segment where Melvin's wife, Edna, and daughter, Kristen, were still pressing forward, organizing another big volunteer search effort for that coming Sunday. And at this time, everyone was aware that winter was approaching and snow would soon blanket the area. So that would potentially bury any remaining evidence. So they wanted to get out there and get one more search in before that
little air of desperation.
Yeah. And, in that broadcast, the family expressed their belief that whatever happened to Melvin was beyond his control. And this is when they started raising the possibility that he may have encountered the wrong people, I put that in air quotes, in the woods. His daughter said, it's really hard because, I still go to the school and I still go to school and still have all the things that I do normal day-to-day basis. And sometimes when I'm just doing those things and I feel kind of happy, I feel like I shouldn't be happy because in the back of my mind, it's always there. Then Edna made a direct appeal to people watching. If there's anybody that knows something, just please come forward. We wanted something, some closure in this. It's really, I'm begging now. So the family had also put together a dedicated website for the search effort, and this was accessible at the time through the local news station's link. It's now approximately June of 2010. This would be when there was another search effort. So roughly, this would be 9 months after Melvin disappeared. Once winter had thawed out, they organized a second search in the Elk Mountain area. And again, despite extensive efforts, the result was the same. Not a single clue surfaced, not a shred of clothing, not his bow, not his arrows, his knife, not even a footprint. So finally, by September 2010, the family now is just seeking a death certificate. So about 1 year after he vanished, an attorney acting on behalf of his wife filed to obtain a death certificate. It's a painful but necessary legal step that allows the surviving family members to settle estates, manage finances, and navigate, the bureaucratic realities of someone disappearing like this. Then on September of 2013, 4 years after he vanished, another local news station aired a brief segment noting that his wife was still holding out hope for answers. Then in 2019, our friend David Politis came out with the documentary Missing 411, The Hunted. And Melvin's case received significant renewed attention when it was featured in the documentary Missing 411. The Hunted, directed by, like I said, David Politis, included interviews with Edna and local hunting guide named Bob with 25 years of experience in the Santa Fe Mountains. When asked what he thought could have happened, Bob said, here in New Mexico, Roswell, alien abduction, yeah, really. He had to have gotten a ride out. He had to have been picked up or gotten a ride out, I assume. Politis placed Melvin's disappearance within a broader geographical cluster of unexplained vanishings in the Santa Fe area, noting it alongside the 2017 disappearance of Stanley Vigil near Borealis Peak, just 10 miles from where Melvin vanished. And
I don't know how I feel about this anymore after all the stuff we've been hearing about him.
Well,
all the controversy.
This documentary had a lot of controversy because one of the cases he covered, Aaron Hedges, we actually covered his case too. He left out crucial facts about the case to make it sound more mysterious. And I won't go into it. You can go and Google it.
It's a cash grab.
Yes. I mean, he left out facts about the case that no one else covering that case would have left out.
Yeah. If you actually want to know, I was trying to find a soundbite from the Tim Robinson show of him saying cash grab, because that's what I think of when I think of Politis now. Like, he's just trying to sell books and sell stories and not actually, because he started out supposedly wanting to find a link between all this, and now it's just a cash grab.
No, I mean, I don't want to go into it, but
we should go into it.
Yeah,
he'll try suing us.
Yeah,
he's been known to do that.
Yeah, he has. But anyone,
all press is good press, Mike.
Yeah, right. Anyone with a keyboard can go out there and look at the discrepancies in this documentary that he produced.
Yeah, just like search Google for David Politis fraud.
Surprisingly, his coverage on Melvin was pretty straightforward, but the Aaron Hedges case was bad.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm giving him some crap. I'm sure most of the stuff has most of the things, but
no, I mean,
he's tipping the scales somewhere in some areas.
I have found a lot of actual errors in his books, because I have a bunch of his books, because that was kind of my, like, reading through his books got me interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
And when you start going through the cases, and then I was like cross-referencing things he had in his book, and there's just stuff missing, names spelled wrong, and there's all kinds of theories online about why this has been done. And we talked about it on a Patreon episode. So if you want to hear our true opinions on it, you got a
little taste now. If you want all the tea.
Yeah. So
you got to cough up the big bucks.
Yeah. Cough up the big bucks. But so a little tangent there, but either way, like Joe said, no, it's still good for exposure to the case, because this documentary was big at the time when it came out. So it got a lot of exposure for Melvin's case. 2021 now, it's February 6th of 2021. So a post appeared on Facebook from what appears to be his daughter, and it said, "My dad went missing on September 6, 2009 without a trace. This happened in Pecos, New Mexico." Then in November 2025, so pretty recent, his daughter did a Reddit AMA on her dad's disappearance. And she was asked when asked what specific evidence led her to believe it was foul play rather than an accident, she responded, "I've always believed that way because nothing was ever discovered, no trace of him, no scrap of clothing, nor any of his weapons. He was equipped with a gun, a bow, all the arrows and a knife." Another commenter suggested he may have encountered someone who wanted to steal his weapons, she replied. And she replied, "I'm convinced he encountered the wrong individual or group, and his weapons were never located." So as of present day, March 2026, Melvin has never been found. There's been no remains.
Okay, I'm sorry. I do have this up. Let me see. I do.
Joe will read it out in a second.
No, hold on. I won't read it. But I just saw someone asked, "Did your family receive any compensation or monetary help from David Politis to aid in the search and recovery?" Here's what she wrote. "No, we did not receive any compensation from him. Part of the reason I didn't want to talk was because I kind of felt, while it was a way to get my dad's case out there again, that it was a cash grab." She called it a cash grab.
Oh, and that's her Reddit username.
Yeah, so that's her.
Oh, and this is the AMA she did.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the AMA.
Oh, gotcha.
I was following along while you're talking, but I just thought it was funny that she just also said that.
Yeah.
I just said it was probably cash grab, and she just said, "Yeah, that felt like a cash grab."
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Well, got to go pay to listen to our thoughts, our deep thoughts on Mr. Politis.
The third question, what do you want the public to know about your dad that may add insight to his disappearance? She wrote, my dad and I had active plans for the following few days as I had just moved into my own apartment that week and he was helping me get settled. He would never be the type to willingly disappear. We were very close my entire life. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is an interesting AMA to kind of really get into, the inside baseball on the disappearance.
Yeah. It was on the our Missing 411 forum.
Yeah. So, like I said, as of March 2026, he's never been found. No remains, no clothing, no weapons, no personal effects. He's listed in the National Missing and Unidentified Persons System, Name Us. His family does not believe he left on his own accord. Joe just read the statement from his daughter, but police have no evidence of foul play. So,
you want to hear from the family?
Yeah, let's hear a little clip here. Are you going to share it?
Tonight, a 61-year-old hunter who disappeared in the Pecos Wilderness near Santa Fe Sunday. Search crews have been looking for him all week. And tomorrow, they plan to step up their efforts. News 13's Jim Winchester has more from the Newsplex.
Well, Dick, state police and volunteers will meet first thing tomorrow morning for a major search and rescue effort to find 61-year-old Mel Nadel.
I am hoping. I am hoping.
No sign, no leads as of yet.
We've pretty much thought of every possibility.
What happened to Mel Nadel? The popular owner of a fitness facility in Santa Fe has disappeared without a trace.
I'm kind of like hoping that however state he is now, I just want him home.
Upwards of 30 people, search dogs, and even Black Hawk helicopters have searched the area this week where a friend last saw him Sunday evening.
We followed the trail. The dogs tracked the trail all the way down to where he was last seen or heard from. From that point, they're continuing a grid search around that area, from a few miles out, and still no leads at this point.
Nadel's wife and daughter have spent the past 5 days waiting and wondering.
I can't even tell you how many scenarios I've made up in my mind, just like, what if this happened, but, there's really no way of knowing.
At this point, if he's alive, I will be very, very thankful.
Tomorrow's volunteer search effort will focus on a very mountainous area with cliffs and rocks. Nadel's family is holding out hope.
Kind of like thinking that my husband is lying there somewhere. It's unbearable. He is a very good person, and he doesn't deserve this.
And state police and the family ask anyone who is interested in volunteering in tomorrow's search effort for Mel Nadel to call their district office in that area. That number is 505-827-93.
That's sad. That's like a week into it, so they're still kind of in the throes of everything. That stinks.
Yeah, I mean, what is that? 16 years ago now.
Yep. So, 16 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that So we'll get into the theories. Jump right into theories. So I'll start with, I'm going to do the kind of thing I like to do these days. Most likely, maybe, likely,
all right.
Not likely. So most likely, this is usually not the theory we go with at first. So I put most likely foul play.
Okay.
I'll explain my reasoning here.
Yeah,
so
tell me.
The theory goes, he encountered another person or group in the woods. And this is obviously a theory that the daughter believes. And, she's consistently held it. She had the right at AMA just in 2025. And, earlier on, she's, like we said, always believed that something happened to him. That's why no trace of him, no scrap or anything was found, none of his equipment. The reasons why this fits is it's one of the only theories that coherently explains, the total absence of physical evidence, no body, clothing, weapons, nothing. If Melvin had died of natural causes, exposure, a fall, or an animal attack in the forest, something would have surfaced in the 16 years of searching, just because of the general human traffic of the area. This isn't like an extremely remote place like Denali or some of the places we've covered. There's a lot more, a lot more people here, hunters, especially, an area where there's lots of hunters. I almost think like there's a better odds of somebody's remains being found because hunters aren't staying on trail. They're looking for a blind or, they're looking for spots to hunt. So, and like that ties into the Elk Mountain area is not a trackless jungle. It's crisscrossed with trails, logging roads, paths, streams that flow downhill, eventually to civilization. A body or gear left in this terrain has a reasonable chance of being discovered over time. And the area around Pecos has historically been associated with illegal drug cultivation and trafficking.
Okay.
The Land of Entrapment blog notes that some theorists think the victim ran into a drug operation or some south of the border cartel gangster or gangster stuff or into some type of gun running operation. Though the author also notes no reefer fields were found during the search, but he may have stumbled across something or someone he wasn't supposed to see. So the history has kind of the area has a history of this kind of activity. So I think that strengthens the foul play case. Another part of this is, Mel was a smaller individual. He was 5'2", 135 pounds, and he had a bad, injured knee. So, despite being armed and a black belt, he would have been physically vulnerable if surprised or outnumbered.
Especially if it was getting dark.
It's getting dark. He is trained in martial arts and he had a gun, but he was injured.
Yeah.
I mean, having a bad knee, I remember, Joe, you hiked with us one year with a bad knee. And I mean,
it's almost completely debilitating.
Yeah. You're like a different person when your knee is messed up like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then, the deconstructed blind and half-eating sandwich suggests he may have returned to the vehicle at some point before going missing. This also creates a window where he was at or near camp, possibly visible from the road, and potentially encountered someone. And, Kristen, which is the daughter, also criticized the handling of the scene. So the Jeep was never treated as a potential crime scene. There was no forensics done on it. And it sat accessible to anyone for days before being returned to the family. So things that go against the foul play theory is there's, really no motive that's been identified by law enforcement. Joe, Kevin, Edna, and Kristen were all investigated and cleared. There was, no suspects ever emerged. So, and there was really no evidence of any kind of crime happening. Now, they didn't do a forensic sweep of the vehicle, but there was no blood, no signs of a struggle, anything. So, next theory that is likely would be a medical event followed by the concealment of his body due to the terrain. So, obviously, he was 61 with an injured knee. Though his wife said he had no known health issues, sudden cardiac events, stroke, or aneurysms can strike without warning. He could have suffered some type of medical emergency like that dropped him quickly and silently, which would, no time to set off a signal shot or anything like that. This would explain the abrupt end of the scent trail and lack of a struggle. The search terrain included cliffs, rocks, dense brush, and water features. If a body fell into a crevasse, a deep ravine, or into fast-moving water, it could remain undiscovered for decades. Though, the Pecos River was searched, but it's very dynamic waterway. A body entering the water could be carried miles downstream. Now, why this doesn't work is 50 volunteers across multiple efforts, K-9 units, Black Hawk helicopters, all searched the area and found a total absence of any trace, not just a body, but they didn't find a bow, arrows, revolver, knife, boots, watch, which would be extremely difficult to explain through natural concealment alone if he had just suffered a medical emergency. And, metal and synthetic materials don't decompose. So that stuff would be out there even 16 years later. You're going to find a compound bow.
Yeah.
If you stumble across it. Possible theories of what happened: animal attack. So there are bear and mountain lions in the area. So obviously Elk Mountain is home to black bears, mountain lions, bobcats, coyotes. A mountain lion ambush is, like Joe mentioned, sudden, silent, and comes from behind. Mel might not have had time to react or even, get his gun out. Why this might work, mountain lion attacks can be swift and lethal, and the cat can drag prey at a significant distance from the kill site. black bears, while rarely predatory towards humans, are capable of it. Why this obviously falls apart is, animal attacks leave a mess. They're going to see that. The dogs are going to pick up on that. They didn't find any of that. Predators don't clean up metal weapons or arrows or boots. And like I said, the canine units would have I would rule that out as just not possible, or so improbable that it feels impossible. Yeah, unless he wasn't in the area where they thought he was. Which, again, his truck's there, and he's got a bum knee. Yeah. So another one got lost, died of exposure, body never found. The official classification. So Mel wandered farther than intended, became lost. He didn't have his GPS, bad knee, fading light, and he just succumbed to exposure or fell in terrain that concealed him. Why this works? He'd gotten lost in the past, so he's been lost. He didn't have his GPS. It was night, and that same blog I mentioned earlier notes that scent dogs are only accurate 50% of the time on average. So the short scent trail may simply reflect dog limitations rather than anything stranger than that or paranormal. So I have to say something on this because I've seen... Yeah, you go into what you were talking about with dog sense. Well, I feel like on this show, because we've talked to people who know about dogs and are somewhat experts on dogs, and we've read lots of things, I feel like we keep hearing either the dogs are amazing or the dogs aren't that accurate. Yeah. It seems like it ping-pongs back and forth. But the one thing I was thinking of why the scent would just end, if you got into a vehicle. Okay. So this is like where going into foul play, it could be, did he get into a car with somebody who he thought was safe? Was he forced into a vehicle? So like he walked to that spot, then walked the same spot back. The dogs wouldn't know which way he walked. Or did he get picked up at the spot? Well, the spot was in. Oh, it was in. Okay. So it was like 50 yards from his camp. Yeah. But I could, what if you walked that trail in to your blind? Yeah, you're going to walk the same one back. Same one back. So the scent is going to be in the spot you walked, and then it's going to be all over the campsite where you were, and something happened there, and he got snatched up. Yeah. I think that's where, that's what I immediately said. Okay, they had a scent that was gone. That means he was physically removed in a way where his skin wouldn't be shedding out to leave scent, which would be in an automobile. And then I was thinking in my head, like how they detect that is they talked about the dogs that can pick up the scent, but it's because they're going like the cone pattern and they'll pick up when the person got out of the car. Okay. So you'd have to be somewhat relatively in the area. Yeah. To still, or the windows would have to be rolled down or something. Yeah. But interesting. Yeah. I feel like the effectiveness of scent dogs ping pongs, and maybe it could just be that some search and rescue have better scent dogs than others. Like, I assume that could be a thing, right? Like, I mean, they're trained to do it, so I assume that there's some standard. Dogs are not like robots. Yeah, that every dog there's probably like dogs that are better at it, and dogs that are worse at it, and there could be trainers that are better at it. Bad day or a good day smelling if they're sick or something, and probably. You don't know. Like, I mean, they're just animals. Yeah. I'm assuming there's a lot of variables in it. Probably we should do a whole episode on dogs. We should get like an expert that is in the field. We should get a dog in the studio. Let's get a local dog. we should. No, I'm just saying we should try and find like a local guy who does like or somebody who does local. That'd be cool. Search and rescue. And we could like test the dog. Yeah. Different scenarios. Just in our like small studio. Yeah. Like, okay, go find this. We'll put like a sausage in your pocket and have you go hide somewhere and see if the dog can find you. I think if you did that, I could find you. But so, I'm leaning towards foul play, but continue. Okay. Well, so why the getting lost theory doesn't work was it didn't fit his hunting style, so he wasn't known to roam. When he was not injured, he would sit still. So he also had a bum knee, so really doesn't make sense that he would go, stomping around. And while the terrain is rugged, it's not featureless. Like I said earlier, there's trails, roads, you got the river nearby. Those are all navigational anchors. So he would have been able to find his way back to camp, especially if he was only 50 yards away. And, it's been 16 years without finding a single item of gear in a very recreationally active area of the forest. that's a pretty extraordinary thing that nothing has been found. Now, that doesn't mean someone didn't find a bow and just kept it.
I was just saying, if you found
or
a 44,
revolver and just kept it.
And just said like, oh, good find.
I mean, though it's kind of risky just keeping a firearm that you randomly find because you don't know what was done with that.
Yeah, you definitely, because I think there is protocol to like bringing it to a station, and if no one claims it, you can get it.
Yeah, or if they run it and it comes back clean, because the worst thing that could happen for you if you pick up just a random firearm you find is that firearm was used to commit a serious crime.
Yeah.
And then you're found in possession of said firearm. Now you are the suspect of that crime.
Yeah, and the people who come get you don't know you.
Yeah. So that's a good piece of advice for anyone who may ever find a random firearm in the woods. Immediately turn it into the closest law enforcement people, because you do not want to.
But maybe don't touch it.
Yeah.
Get your prints all over it. Do the thing they do in like CSI. Pick it up with a pencil
or something, and like put your
Pick it up with a pencil.
Because
put it in a bag or something.
The worst thing that could happen to you is you get framed for a crime that you didn't do, but
you framed
literally
yourself.
Have the smoking gun in your possession. So
yeah, no bueno.
And now these are the not likely. So voluntary disappearance. The family. Joe read what the daughter said about.
He was making plans for the future.
Yeah, he left his money, ID, GPS in his car. He had an injured knee. There was no evidence by police to show him that he would do this, and he hasn't been cited in 16 years. So, and finally, the most interesting one that's not likely is the Pecos Triangle, which is a paranormal theory.
Another triangle.
Yes.
There's always triangles.
I think we might have to do an episode on it.
On the Pecos Triangle? Okay.
Some attribute the disappearance to energy vortexes, portals, skinwalkers, or even alien abductions fueled by the cluster of disappearances in the broader Pecos wilderness and local folklore about strange lights and electromagnetic anomalies.
Ooh, I feel like we call them off the deep ends. Maybe we should call them the politest possibilities.
The politest possibilities.
It's just all the things that are not likely.
Yeah.
What's the politest possibility? Aliens and skinwalkers.
Yes. Yeah. So obviously why this theory doesn't work is an equal or greater number of people have gone missing and or have been found dead in the wilderness is just nearby, especially the Black Range and the Manzano Mountains. So the Pecos Wilderness is certainly not the leader in disappearances in this area. The clustering effect is likely a product of media attention, particularly the missing 411, rather than genuine statistical anomalies. And Alan Pacheco's investigation at Elk Mountain reported equipment malfunctions, so Geiger counter, camera, cell phones malfunctioning, which so this is a guy who believes in the triangles, so he attributed this to possible energy fields, but skeptics noted that equipment routinely fails in rugged, remote, mountainous terrain, which is common and not remarkable. So
yeah, especially like when I go to Boundary Waters with a real compass, there's so much iron, it can throw off the measurement.
Yeah, so cell phones.
That's like the whole thing of like close your eyes and how many things are red in the room. Now open them, and now look around. Now close your eyes. It's like if you're looking for it, you're going to see it.
Yeah. Well, and the final theory was his hunting friends were involved, and this was dismissed right away. Both hunters were actually thoroughly investigated and cleared. There was no motive ever identified for why his friends would want to kill him, and the family, who obviously thinks it's foul play, never pointed a finger at his friends. So they were cleared pretty early on that, wasn't them. So
where are you landing? Are you landing on foul play?
Honestly, for this one, I think based on the history of the area and just the fact that he was so close to camp and he had a bad leg, so he was not like he was going to wander away. And his whole style of hunting was he went to a spot and sat there. He didn't move around a lot.
And that was when he didn't have a bum leg.
That was when he didn't have a bum leg. And so he's probably more likely to not move around with his bad leg.
Mm-hmm.
He almost didn't even go on the hunt because of his leg.
And his blind was back in the car, and he ate the sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, so he must like picked it up. And you're not going to go to your blind to hunt as darkness is coming.
No.
It sounded more like he was going to clean up his spot.
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, he did, because if it was deconstructed back in his Jeep with some food, like, I feel like he was at the Jeep and something happened.
I do too, because he had the half-eaten sandwich was still there. So that, to me, feels like he got back to his truck, put everything away. He was, hungry. He was having dinner. And then while he was eating, something happened.
And the other guys weren't at camp.
They weren't back
yet. They
yet.
wouldn't have seen anything.
Yeah. And like you said, that's why the scent dogs didn't keep picking up scent further out, because he only went 50 yards out, then came back.
Yeah. I feel like he got picked up.
Yeah. And, now that's interesting that whoever picked him up didn't rob him. I guess they took his guns and his bow, but they left, his wallet and, stuff in the car. But yeah, that's interesting. They didn't do any
Skinwalkers maybe don't care about monetary goods.
Yeah, maybe not. They didn't forensically, sweep the truck, so they don't know if there are prints on it.
That's kind of the thing there. It's like where they might have blown it.
And if it's a highly trafficked area, they're not going to necessarily be able to pinpoint specific tracks on a vehicle.
Oh yeah,
if there's other
people
cars
going all over the mountain.
Yeah.
And for what it sounded like during hunting season, it's heavily trafficked.
But then what is the motive for why they would take him?
It had to have, this is pure speculation, so please don't get mad. And be like, that's not possible. Like, we're guessing here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. Like, maybe like someone was jawing off and they started, you can get into it.
Yeah.
And it could have been a dumb thing.
Maybe like drug runners or gun runners were driving by and he said something.
Yeah, like maybe they're driving fast. Slow down. They are just little punks.
Yeah, and they got out and
yeah.
Oh, really? Slow down?
Yeah, just some stupid interaction. That's kind of like, that's what my gut's telling me. It was just like some dumb thing where like wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Not saying he's cocky or anything, but like he's Taekwondo, so he probably is not going to back down from an aggressive thing. Especially if he's got a firearm. Like maybe it's if someone's like showing up, he's probably a tough dude, and he's not going to back down. And it might have just went sideways.
Yeah,
that was like my gut. The other thing would be in this, because the dog's not finding his scent. I'm like, maybe he did accidentally wander off when it got too dark.
Yeah,
and was going the wrong way. But then it's like, well, the dogs. Why would the scent stop?
Yeah.
So that's where, I don't know. I'm like, think foul play, but I can't think of a great reason why. Like, just a really terrible situation, wrong place, wrong time.
They didn't find any illicit drug growing operations in the area when they were searching.
Yeah.
And they didn't there was no sign of a struggle, so it's not like he was shot or stabbed or something in his truck and then taken, because they would have found blood.
They didn't mention any like big life insurance policies or anything like that. So like that's where nothing else fits, and that also kind of doesn't fit, but it fits the most.
All I can think of is there were some unsavory type people coming down the road, and there was some type of altercation probably off of some just stupid like, hey, slow down, or something like that. And they got out and it escalated to the point where, I don't know.
Ne'er-do-wells.
But again, if you're drug running, gun running, why are you going to waste your time kidnapping a random dude and then killing him?
That's where I don't think
I
don't think it's an organized thing. I think it is a passion, spur of the moment. Maybe got a little out of hand. Like, so here, let me paint a picture. It starts as something small.
Yeah.
Maybe he can be a hothead a little bit. Some people have their moments. I've had a hothead moment. I'm a very calm individual usually, but if someone rubs me the wrong way in just the wrong time, like what if he's got his gun and he flashes his gun?
Yeah.
Like, and then it escalates, or they flash their gun and it's kind of just, it all of a sudden spirals into a thing where maybe they kill him and now they're panicking. They load him in a car and drive off.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like there wasn't blood found. There wasn't like signs of a scuffle or anything, but I don't know. Like that's all I can think of is just some weird, crazy.
It has to be
like
something
that.
Weird like that, because I just don't see him walking very far. like out of the search area.
Yeah. That's why like it's stuck in my head that he was removed from the area.
It honestly sounds like he went back to camp.
Yeah.
Like he was out hunting and then he came back, was eating a sandwich, and something happened.
Yes. I'm like,
and it's a little shocking that the police didn't lean into that more right away.
They probably didn't think of it as like a crime scene. Yeah, they probably went, "Oh, he's missing," and they probably took it as that most of the time. And then,
but I feel like
to the daughter's point, now it's too late. Everything's contaminated.
I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, maybe because we talk about these types of cases every week. I feel like if I was an investigator showing up and they're like, "Okay, yeah, this guy in his 60s, bad leg, he walked 50 yards off trail. It appears he came back to his truck, was eating." And then midway through his sandwich is gone.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we do have a bias towards
because
even like the off the deep end stuff. It's like, because we're doing a show. This is for entertainment. Like it's like for us, we're gravitating towards the more pomp and circumstance type.
I feel like we're pretty grounded in our theories, though.
We are pretty grounded, but I mean, like, it is like, that's why we temper it when we say off the deep end.
Yeah.
But still, like in a case like this, Occam's razor says it's probably not an abduction and a thing.
No.
Because like that's really out there. But like it seems like that makes the most sense. So I'm leaning that way. But really,
maybe he got something, like he got an elk, but it didn't fall, and he went after it.
Yeah, and that's where, and maybe the scent dog was bad that day.
Yeah, maybe it was bad, and the elk went towards the river. He got there with his bad leg. He slipped, fell in, and his body got carried miles away.
Yeah, I don't know.
That I didn't even think of that, because, I mean, if he got an elk, maybe he was a bad shot that day and wasn't a kill shot, and the elk ran off.
Even if it is, you got to let it bleed out. It's going to go down, it's going to go to ground.
But a lot of times they will walk, quite a distance before they go down.
Exactly.
And the hunter will follow after it and wait.
Yeah.
So maybe he went in the woods after it, after a kill.
Mm-hmm.
But you think that during the search, they would find a massive elk that was with an arrow in it.
Especially with all the trails and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
and if he had shot an elk, there would be blood.
And after his friends are shooting warning shots and he's lost and he's going to.
So that's an interesting thing. When they did the two shots, they did hear two shots in the distance.
Yeah.
And they weren't able to verify who that was, so, I mean,
that could be him. And
so Occam's razor is he shot an elk, it walked off, he went after it, and something happened.
Yeah. And maybe that was him responding, but they couldn't ascertain his position.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's funny because, as we always say, the show ends the same way, but it's always different.
Yeah.
But thanks again for tuning into our show. We appreciate you all for listening and sharing Locations Unknown with your friends and family. Be sure to like us and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, where you can find the videos of each episode. Also, if you'd like to support us monetarily, please visit our website or Facebook store to buy some sweet, sweet swag. Additionally, you can subscribe to our Patreon account on YouTube, on Apple, anywhere where you have access to subscriptions for additional shows for paid customers only. And lastly, when enjoying the beauty of nature, whether backpacking, camping, or simply taking a walk, always remember to leave no trace. Thanks, and we will see you all next time.